San Francisco, let's ride. You're watching the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. Chase Senior here with you. Coming your way on today's show, taking all of your questions, so make sure you subscribe so that in the future you can be a part of our mailbags. But first, do want to gauge where this fan base is at, coming off the Bears' loss, and then after watching the Seattle Seahawks take down the Denver Broncos and Russell Wilson in his return to the Pacific Northwest, on Monday Night Football, who you got on Sunday? Big game in this division, SEA for the Seahawks, SF for the 49ers. Kick off this mailbag with this $2 super chat coming in from Anthony. Appreciate the donation, man. Seahawks will win 31-13 over the Niners. 3 picks and 1 fumble for Trey Lance. And if that ends up happening, Anthony, the noise from this fan base is going to get really loud. And Kyle Shanahan in his post-game press conference will be asked if Trey Lance will be the starting quarterback in Week 3 against the Denver Broncos. This was the danger all along in re-signing Jimmy Garoppolo, that if Lance didn't get off to a good start, people would be coming for his head. There's a lot of pressure on the kid. I will say, though, kid's made 3 starts in the NFL. Within those 3 starts, I think he showed a lot of ability. You just got to give him some time and reps. Now, in a couple of weeks to a month, if it becomes apparent that he can't play, maybe the Jimmy Garoppolo conversation gets a little bit more real. Another super chat coming in from Andrew Lucero. Thank you for that as well. Is Seattle that good, or is Denver overrated? I just think crazy things happen in the opening week of the NFL season. Last week we talked about that statistic where over the last couple of years, historic road underdogs covering, especially that's the case in Week 1 because there's not a lot of tape on these teams. It's hard to prepare for teams that you don't know what they're going to do with different personnel. I think Seattle's defense really impressed me. They were awful last year, but against Denver, they were flying around. They were really physical. Looked as though they made some upgrades at that cornerback spot with a player like Tariq Woolen, who they drafted out of UTSA. Pete Carroll's calling card has always been defense, but why the Seahawks have gone downhill the last couple of years is because of the lack of defense. So maybe they've made some improvements there. But with Geno Smith, I think he's going to come back down to earth. He somewhat outplayed Russell Wilson if you look at the efficiency of the plays, but also with Russ on Denver, first time, new system, new team, new head coach, Nathaniel Hackett yacked and hacked away that situation when it comes down to the game management. There was a minute left with 3 timeouts, and he didn't take a timeout until 20 seconds left. And instead of trying to advance the ball, he settled for a 64-yard field goal. That's game mismanagement, and that's just coaching malpractice. DJ, another super chat coming in. Is Mac the most accomplished running back that Kyle Shanahan has had? No, not as a head coach. Marlon Mack has had one good year. I'd say that Raheem Mostert has been a better back than Marlon Mack. He's had one good year back in 2019, and I like what Marlon Mack did. You look at his numbers here, 247 carries, more than 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, 14 catches. Shoot, I'd say Elijah Mitchell last year was pretty damn impactful. Now, yes, Kyle Shanahan has had a bunch of injuries at that running back spot, and a lot of those guys haven't been able to produce for more than 1 year, but the same can be said for Marlon Mack. It's a good question, though, right there. You look at the injuries under Shanahan, by the way, 3rd most last year, most injured team during that disastrous 2020 season following that Super Bowl run, 2019, 6th most injured, 4th in 2018, and then 10th in 2017. It's a problematic trend that comes down to some bad luck and misfortune, but also this being a physical team. Do want to ask you this question, though, as part of our mailbag. You're asking me the question, so now it's my turn to ask you what's up. Who's your favorite Niner of all time? During our live show a little bit earlier, we were talking about Frank Gore, number 3 on the all-time career rushing yards list, because we brought up Adrian Peterson as an Elijah Mitchell replacement on the cheap. Is it Frank Gore who's your favorite Niner or somebody else? This is cool because looking at the demographic, viewers of all ages, so we're going to get some OGs, we're going to get some new players as well. Evan Hinders, should the Niners trade for Marquez Callaway? Producer Trace, what do you think about that as a Saints fan?
So I don't actually hate the idea. It would depend on what you would offer in a trade. Marquez Callaway is a very speedy, very shifty wide receiver on the Saints roster. He is wide receiver 4 or 5, kind of lower on the depth chart. Really, really high value in terms of kick return, special teams, punt return. I really like Marquez Callaway, but he is a player that the Saints could trade away, and they would be open to trading away with the amount of depth that they have.
Gotcha. So that's great insight from producer Trace, and that's why you subscribe to us here at Chat Sports, because everybody can get the job done on the air. As for Marquez Callaway, Niners are set right now without any injuries happening at wide receiver. They're pretty much filled up there. They have 5, 6, depending on which wide receivers get elevated for game day. So I don't think they need Marquez Callaway, because then you'd have to let go of maybe a Malik Turner who gives you value on special teams. You want to see more from Danny Gray, the rookie, right? Instead of him being inactive on game day, you want to see him be a part of this active roster. You don't want out Marquez Callaway taking a spot. Ricky Bobby, let's pivot to that. What's the word on Jimmy Garoppolo and Dallas? I think it's highly unlikely, and there was a little bit of a turn. I know that Jerry Jones has started to get a little bit older, and with that has gotten a little bit more witty, and has said some interesting things during radio interviews over time, especially with some of his classic Southern analogies down here in Texas. But so the original report was that Dak Prescott was going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. And then Jerry Jones said on the radio, out of nowhere, that Dak isn't going to go on IR now and could only miss 4 weeks. So if it's that short of a timeline, I don't think that Dallas trades for a backup quarterback. I think they just see what they can do with Cooper Rush. And then from that point on, they hope that Dak Prescott comes back at some point really soon. So I don't think that Jimmy Garoppolo gets dealt to the Cowboys. I had said it earlier this week when we covered that subject matter, which was a worthwhile discussion, because if you get good value back, these are the conversations that happen within front offices. But at $6.5 million, Jimmy G as a backup after that contract restructure, pretty valuable on this team. Justin Abilera is next up. I don't understand why everyone is getting mad that Trey is making mistakes. He's young. Jimmy would make the same mistakes with no upside. Relax, faithful. It's crazy that people are ripping Trey Lance this much when he's made 3 starts. You got to give the guy at least 6 starts. 6 starts, 6 to 8 games is a pretty good sample size to see if a quarterback can or can't play. Think about what Lance has been able to do in just those 3 starts. Against Arizona, it was a little bit choppy. I don't think he was ready to play. But if you actually watch the game, he made really nice throws. Against the Houston Texans, can we keep in mind the circumstances there during that game? Do or die game, second to last week of the season, and a rookie has to come in and get a victory, and he does. And when he plays, he throws that long ball to Deebo Samuel. And then in a torrential downpour at Soldier Pond, in a monsoon, he made a nice throw to Ray McLeod. He threw a dime to Jawan Jennings. He picked up some plays with his legs. Give the guy a little bit of time to at least ease in. That's like you getting a job, and after 2 weeks, you're not catching up as fast as your bosses wanted you to, and they're like, you know what, call it quits. We got to find him a replacement because so-and-so, Chase, ain't doing the job right. And I'm like, hold on. Can you guys give me at least a month at this new job to prove to you that you made the right hire? Patience. BetUS is our sponsor for this mailbag. Head to chatsports.com/49bet, promo code Niners125 if you want to get a great deal on betting on football this upcoming NFL season, even as early as week 2 if you haven't signed up already. Niners are 9-point favorites. Some books have them down to 8.5. That line kind of been fluctuating. Could drop a little bit after Seattle's win over the Denver Broncos. The over-under 42.5, which is low. But we know oftentimes between the Niners and the Seahawks, it's a very physical game that's low scoring. So I wouldn't even touch that over-under. I'm not even touching -9 either. To Joe E now, do you think we can sign any offensive lineman in season or just wait for what we have to gel? Look, Billy Price was a player that maybe you take a shot on as a former first-round pick. He went to the Raiders practice squad. You could poach him off the practice squad if you want to sign him to your active roster. But here's the deal about the Niners' Week 1 performance. They didn't lose because of the offensive line. Spencer Burford had a clean sheet in his first game as an NFL player. Aaron Banks played pretty well as well. So if the offensive line holds up, no. I mean, they signed Blake Hance, who has guard, center, tackle flexibility just last week and a half ago. So wait to see, but also the offensive lineman on the market, not that good. K. Pay, What's good? Chase, do you honestly believe the Niners played that bad against the Chicago Bears? No. When you have 99 yards in penalties, you're oftentimes going to lose, or at least open yourselves up to losing. When you fumble the football away in the red zone after you're about to score a touchdown, after moving the ball with Trey Lance, by the way, you eliminate getting at least 3 points, maybe even 7. That's a huge swing. When you come out at a halftime and you drive right down the field and you get 3 instead of 7 when you should have put 7 on the scoreboard, those are all missed opportunities. And I expect the Niners to be better moving forward. They've also been bad in the first month of every season, pretty much under head coach Kyle Shanahan outside of 2019. More questions coming in for our mailbag. I did see a super chat come in. So, of course, we always want to feature all of the donations that go a long way in supporting everything that we do. Andrew Lucero with another one, $2. Lot BK, or is this DJ? Okay, DJ. We'll get to DJ coming up. Yeah, no, all good. We're doing this live, so just waiting for the super chats to come in. Like I said, the donations, greatly appreciated. But K. Kang, we'll go back to your question. No, I don't believe they played that bad. I thought Justin Fields made some special plays outside of contain. When a quarterback gets pressured, they get outside of the pocket. Coverage is going to break down on the back end because they can only hold up for so long back there. And that's why Dante Pettis, out of all people, it makes me sick to my stomach that he was the one to score that 51-yard touchdown. Broke free, was wide open, and that really changed the game right there. Elijah Mitchell injury didn't help either. All right, here we go. Here's that $5 super chat from DJ. To clarify, I meant outside of Shanahan's system. Mostert wasn't a no-name before he came to San Francisco, but Mac has had a 1,000-yard season already. Was he with the Devontae Freeman in Atlanta when he was the OC during that Super Bowl year, and man, he was a really good player at that point. So that's probably, now that I think about it, maybe one of the best backs that Shanahan has had in his system. Alfred Morris in Washington was a good one. Cleveland didn't have a lot of good backs. He was with the Houston Texans, but that was so long ago. I'm not sure if Arian Foster was there, but Kyle Shanahan was just getting started in his coaching career. I'm just trying to go back with that recall right there. But DJ, I got you. Thank you so much for that super chat. Bang, bang, Niner gang. Subscribe today so that you can be a part of our mailbags moving forward. As always, thank you so much for all of your support, and thanks for your great questions coming in.